Hello and welcome to Extra Innings. I am your host, Van Noland. I am joined tonight, as always, by Owen Noland. We have a very exciting episode for you guys tonight. Lots of news to get to. A few important baseball figures retiring. And Hall of Fame news to get to. So let's first start with my news. The game of baseball is losing two phenomenal players. Adrian Beltre retired later last week. He had a 21-year career with the Dodgers, the Mariners, the Red Sox, and the Rangers. He debuted in 1998. In his 21-year career, he had a career high of 48 home runs in 2004, and he hit .334 that year as well. That was his last year with the Dodgers. He went to Seattle after that for 5 seasons. In 2010, he spent the year with the Red Sox. And then in 2011, he was shipped to the Texas Rangers, where he spent 8 seasons. He was a 4-time All-Star there. He seemingly got better with age. He hit 30 or more home runs 4 times with the Rangers, which he had only previously done once. He is a member of the 3,000 hit club, which he reached in July of 2017. He finished his career with 3,166 hits, which is good enough for 16th on the all-time list. And he finished with 477 career home runs and was a career .286 hitter. Many expect him to be a Hall of Famer in 5 years or maybe a little after, when he is eligible to be on the ballot. Now, the other notable player that retired was Twins catcher and first baseman Joe Mauer. He played his entire career with the Minnesota Twins. He was a catcher early on in his career before the Twins moved him to first base to take some wear and tear off his legs. And just because catching is a arduous task. In his career, he had 143 home runs, 923 RBIs. He finished with 2,123 hits and was a career .306 hitter, which is phenomenal for a catcher. He was an All-Star 6 times in his career. He led the league in batting 3 times in 2006, 2008, and 2009. His career high was when he hit .365 in 2009. He's part of the great Mariners teams of the
Twins
teams. I don't know why I said Mariners. Part of the great Twins teams of that decade. But he's also one of the better defensive catchers while he was a catcher in the league. A 3-time Gold Glove Award winner, a 5-time Silver Slugger Award winner, and he won 3 batting titles. a great career for Joe Mauer and Adrian Beltre, both. Both, I'm sure, will appear on the Hall of Fame ballot soon. So, Owen, you have news to get to. I have a little more news, but we can get to that later. We'll get to the Hall of Fame ballot, all the players on it that were just released today or yesterday?
Yesterday. So yesterday, the Baseball Writers Association announced the players who would be on the 2019 ballot. Or is it technically the 2018? No, it's the 2019 Hall of Fame ballot. I'll go through the first-year players who all retired in 2013 or after the 2013 MLB season. It has now been 5 years since these players have retired, making them eligible for the Hall of Fame ballot, and they are in alphabetical order. Rick Ankiel, which is actually very interesting because I've heard reports he's trying to make a comeback in baseball, so I wonder if he makes a comeback, if that will affect his Hall of Fame status.
It will. Once, if they are even to appear in one game, then the, clock of 5 years would reset again.
But what if, and I don't think this will happen, but what if he's elected to the Hall of Fame this year and then comes back and plays next year?
That would be crazy.
It would be crazy, and I don't see it happening with Rick Ankiel. I don't think he's necessarily worthy of getting in the Hall of Fame as it stands right now. But just a question to ponder, something interesting that you don't see every day. Continuing on. Jason Bay, Lance Berkman, Freddie Garcia, John Garland, Travis Hafner, Roy Halladay, Todd Helton, Ted Lilly, Derek Lowe, Darren Oliver, Roy Oswalt, Andy Pettit, Juan Pierre, Placido Polanco, Mariano Rivera, Miguel Tejada, Vernon Wells, Kevin Youkilis, and Michael Young, all on their first time on the Hall of Fame ballot. Van, I ask you, of this list of guys right here, who do you think, and you don't have to name a whole lot, maybe just 2 or 3, or I guess you can name the whole list if you so desire. Who do you think will get in to the Hall of Fame? Not necessarily this year, but eventually. Who would get your vote for Cooperstown?
I think Mariano Rivera, of this list, I think he has the best chance of getting in this year. I don't think he will, however, if you look at what...
Really? You don't think Mariano Rivera is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I don't think so. Trevor Hoffman's on a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Mariano Rivera...
Many people think Mariano Rivera is better than Trevor Hoffman.
Yes, but they are very comparable. I don't think they'll elect a closer in the first year, the way it stands right now.
No, I think they will. I think they learned their lesson with Trevor Hoffman. Trevor Hoffman should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, but wasn't. I think with Mariano Rivera, I think you'll see him get in rather easily. I think he'll get 95, 96, 97% of the vote.
Oh, wow.
I really do. I think he's as good of a lock as you can get on this list for a first ballot Hall of Famer. The rest of the players on here, I think it's going to take a couple years. But I will let you continue. Pick out some other players who you think are deserving on this list of being in Cooperstown.
I think Todd Helton also will get into the Hall of Fame one day. I think he deserves a little more praise than he does. I think I would vote for him this year, of course, but I may be a little biased, but he definitely had a great career. I think he gets in. He should for sure be in within 5 years. 5 years. You think?
I agree with you. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If you look at the numbers he put up over the course of his career, very comparable with Hall of Famers like Jimmy Fox, Lou Gehrig, even comparing him to other great first basemen, he stacks up quite well. So I think he deserves to get in. The only problem is, and you know this as well as I do, is he played at Coors Field. So people will discount everything that he did, and it will take him a long time. Look at how long it's taken Larry Walker, who just recently got over 25% of the vote. He got up to 34% last year.
Okay, but I don't know if Larry Walker's a Hall of Famer.
No, I think Todd Helton's a better player, but people discredit Larry Walker and they'll discredit Todd Helton too. So it's going to take Todd Helton, it's going to be an uphill climb for him. He'll start out, I think he'll get 30% of the vote this year.
I think so.
And gradually rise, sort of like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens have been doing. They've continually gone up each year, and many people think this is the year that Bonds and Clemens will finally get in the Hall of Fame. Well, that's a topic for another day. My point is, you could see something similar with Helton, where he'll get up there, and maybe by year 6, 7, 8, it might even take him a full 10 years. But I think eventually Todd Helton will get the credit that he deserves to be in Cooperstown. And I'm sorry, Van, I keep interrupting you. I'll let you finish off your list, and we can sort of compare and contrast. Is there anyone else on this list that you see that you think this guy should be in Cooperstown?
I think Andy Pettitte makes a great case.
There's some speculation there as to whether or not he used steroids.
I think this is the year that Bonds and Clemens get in, and I think if they're going to get in, I don't see why you would leave out Andy Pettitte from the Hall of Fame as well. I think you have to let him in at that point if you're just going to, I guess, let in all the cheaters. But then there's not as much hard evidence linking him, I guess.
You're right. That is true. You've got a good point there. And I agree with you. I think Andy Pettitte is a guy who could get in on his second or third time on the ballot. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. To me, a first ballot Hall of Famer, you have to be the greatest player at your position of your era. Mariano Rivera was that as a closer. And the rest of the players on this list I don't see as...
I don't know if anyone else gets on the list.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, to be honest, if you see anybody but Mariano Rivera get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Obviously, I think other players will get in, but just not first ballot Hall of Famers.
Because the three I just named are the only three I could see.
What about Roy Halladay? You don't think he has a case?
I think he... That's right. I think he's borderline. I could see him getting in, but I could also...
I think he's borderline too, but I think he'll start out with a lot of support. I think he'll get like 50% of the vote this year, and really I'm just throwing out numbers. My guess is as good as you guys sitting at home listening to this, but Roy Halladay to me was a pitcher who was... I don't want to say innings eater, because when you think of an innings eater, you think of some guy who just ate up innings and maybe had a higher A. This guy was dominant for the better part of the 2000s with his time in Toronto and Philadelphia. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not win a Cy Young in both leagues? I know he won one in Toronto, didn't he?
Yes.
When was his other Cy Young? He won two.
2010?
2010 with the Phillies. So he did win a Cy Young in both the American League and the National League. Since 2009, this is an interesting fact I came across. He has the most complete games of any pitcher that's pitched since 2009.
Wow.
Pretty incredible. That's what I mean when I say he was an innings eater. He was a guy you could give the ball to every fifth day and count on to go 7 or 8 innings. And by the way, he did throw that no-hitter right in the playoffs for the Philadelphia Phillies. Roy Halladay is a guy I could see getting in very soon, sooner rather than later. It's always interesting to me to look at the guys that are on the first-year ballot. Obviously, if you don't get enough percent of the vote,
5%.
5%?
Yes.
You get thrown off. You're not on the ballot the following year.
Yes.
That happens to a lot of guys. I mean, Travis Hafner, John Garland, Freddie Garcia, Jason Bay. I'd be shocked if they make it next year. Yeah, maybe Freddie Garcia makes it another year. I don't know, to be honest. Looking through this list, Michael Young. You don't think Michael Young will get into Hall of Fame?
I'd have to do a little more research into Michael Young's stats. Let's take a look at this real quick. Because I don't know. He's another...
He's very borderline. To me, it'll be interesting to see.
A 7-time All-Star, 1 batting title, 1 Gold Glove, only 2,300 career hits. See, I don't know if that does it for me.
Right, he's an interesting guy. You could make the case for him to to make it into Cooperstown. He's a guy who would come very close, I think. And I think ultimately it'll take him a while, but I think he gets in.
Really?
I really do.
Interesting. Could you pull up this year's... Actually, I'll see if I can get last year's ballot and see who just missed. Who just missed getting in the Hall of Fame that has a chance to this year. So, I know Clemens and Bonds were really close. Edgar Martinez. It'll be Edgar Martinez's last year on the ballot, I believe. Mike Mussina got 63% of the vote in his 5th year. I don't know if he gets in this year, but I think he's really close. Other than that, a lot of players, they eliminated 13 players off the list from last year. So Bonds and Clemens, of course, had a huge jump in votes last year. Both got up above 55%. I think you could see a similar jump for both of those players. I think they get in this year. Edgar Martinez, I don't know if he's deserving of Hall of Fame worthiness, but I think he gets in this year. And I think that might be your Hall of Fame class. I don't know what managers or general managers or whatnot could get in, but that might be it for the players.
Yes, I agree with you there. It'll be interesting for sure to see what happens with this year's Hall of Fame class. And I was thinking, isn't there only a certain number that the writers can, write in?
They can only vote for 10.
10 total?
Yes.
So it'll be interesting if you assume Edgar Martinez is going to get in and possibly Barry Bonds, Clemens, maybe Mike Mussina, and then Mariano Rivera will be on almost every ballot. Where does that leave certain guys like Omar Vizquel or Larry Walker? How much percent do they get on the ballots? It'll be interesting to find out.
Yes, there are 35 players in total on this list. So we will see. I'm sure we'll talk more about it later. As they announce the class, I'm sure we'll talk about it. And as it just gets closer to, and maybe next year for Election Day, I guess, but we will see. I have some news and notes for you guys. Last Tuesday, they had not yet announced the Cy Young Awards or the MVPs. And they did that last Wednesday and Thursday. Last Wednesday, the Cy Young Awards were announced in each league. And the Cy Young Award in the National League, it was given to Jacob deGrom. And in the American League, it was given to Blake Snell. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you predicted both of those correctly.
I did. That is correct.
And I got Blake Snell correct. I predicted Max Scherzer would win the NL, but that did not happen. And then the MVPs were announced on Thursday. No real surprises here. Christian Yelich won it from the National League, and Mookie Betts won it from the American League. For both the awards, all four of the guys, all four of the players were really deserving. You can make an argument for each of them, and you can make an argument for anybody else in the league. I know some people probably weren't too happy about DeGrom getting the award, but he did have a pretty impressive year. I know in the middle of the season, when you said Scherzer, you said you would give the award to Scherzer, and you changed your mind.
Yes, I did.
Why is that?
If you look at the season that Jacob deGrom put together, it was truly an impressive feat despite the lack of wins, because the New York Mets, the 2018 New York Mets, were not a very good baseball team. And that should not discount the season that Jacob deGrom had, because it was one for the record books. And I would hate to see him penalized simply because the Mets offense couldn't score enough runs.
What do you think about the Jacob deGrom for NL MVP?
No, absolutely not. There are so much more deserving candidates for MVP than Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, pitchers get their own award.
Yes, it's true.
I think Blake Snell winning the Cy Young Award really made me happy. Small market teams getting a little recognition.
It did. After the All-Star snub, originally, when the original teams came out, I was happy to see Blake Snell get the credit he deserved for winning the Cy Young Award.
I can't think of any Cy Young Award winners that didn't make the All-Star game off the top of my head, but I know there have been a few.
Well, Snell did make the All-Star team. He was just added later.
That's true. And then Christian Yelich, no real surprise there. He just kept hitting all year long. The second half, especially down the stretch in September, helping out the Brewers, getting them to win the NL Central, I'm sure helped a lot. He hit for the cycle twice in the final month of the season, I believe, which was insane. I think maybe recency bias, even though I don't know if it's really biased because he definitely deserved the award, but the last push really helped him. Then Mookie Betts, he was a candidate all year from start to finish. In the middle of the year in the National League, a lot of people would have given the award to maybe a guy like Javier Baez or something. But Yelich just kept hitting all year long. It was the same thing for Mookie Betts, but Mookie Betts got a little more recognition at the beginning of the year and won the MVP. So the Marlins have, on their 2017 Miami Marlins team, they had two MVPs. They had Giancarlo Stanton, who actually won it in 2017, and then they traded away Christian Yelich last offseason, and Yelich won it this year. So think about that. The Marlins had two MVPs in their outfield.
Incredible.
And they still couldn't win.
Excuse me. It's unfortunate, for sure.
Yes, very unfortunate. We have I actually have some news for you guys. Just some re-signings. The Rangers signed catcher Jeff Mathis. Jeff Mathis, not really known for his bat, but he's a veteran catcher. Veteran catchers are always valuable. No matter what team you're on, he can help out the pitching staff. He's great defensively, which is one of the reasons for the move. The Red Sox re-signed the World Series MVP, Steven Pearce. All he does is hit. It doesn't matter who you throw out there, he'll hit him. That's what he's done for his entire career in the AL East. He really has that division figured out at this point. I'm sure that's nice for him to be staying with the same team for more than a year now. He's bounced around quite often in his career. The Nationals signed catcher Kurt Suzuki to a 2-year deal. He is one of the league's better offensive catchers. I just mentioned Jeff Mathis, who has a career average below 200, yet still gets a job. Well, Kurt Suzuki has a career average over 270. Actually, I don't know if he has a career average over 270, but the last 2 years he's hit over 270. So a very good hitting catcher. He is another veteran for them, another veteran catcher getting signed. A lot of the off-season news and signings will be hinged on, of course, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado saga. So I'm sure once we get that, it'll just be a waterfall of players to go this way and that. So not a whole lot to get to, but we did have a blockbuster trade. The Yankees have acquired James Paxton from the Seattle Mariners in exchange for Justice Sheffield, Eric Swanson, and Don Thompson Williams. James Paxton emerged as the ace of the Mariners pitching staff last year. He had a no-hitter, followed immediately by a 16-strikeout performance last May. He had a great start to the season. He had a 3.76 ERA in 28 starts last year. He is signed through 2020, which gives him a good amount of club control for the Yankees as they look to add starting pitching, which is definitely a need for them. I think this gets them one step closer to competing with the world champs, the Red Sox, which is, of course, their rival, who they are most concerned about at this time of year. The prospects, Justice Sheffield is a top-of-the-line pitching prospect. We'll see what Don Williams and Eric Swanson provide for the Mariners, but the Mariners have been pretty busy this offseason. They are also in the works right now. Nothing is official, but sending Gene Segura, their shortstop, to the Padres.
For Will Myers,
yes,
no less.
Yes, Will Myers. Which I think if that move does go through, it'd be a great move for the Padres. You look at what the Padres are doing. They're turning the NL West into one of the best divisions in baseball soon.
Yes, they've got a lot of good young prospects in their system. If they get Gene Segura, that will fill a need at shortstop. They could be a team to watch out for in 2019.
Or later. I don't know if the prospects are exactly ready to perform.
That's what people said about the Braves, and they made the NLDS in 2018.
That's true. That is definitely true. Young talent definitely rules the game. So the Padres, if that trade were to go through, I really like that trade. I think the Mariners are a team that may be giving up a little bit.
Which is kind of unfortunate for Will Myers.
Yeah. The Mariners have been so close, and the thing that's got to be so frustrating for Mariners fans is this was their window. This was their time to compete. Cano and Nelson Cruz were still producing at a high level. Not that they can in the future, but they're getting older. Their play will decline a little bit. Mitch Haniger.
D. Gordon.
If they're going to sell, it's unfortunate. Felix Hernandez, obviously, we saw the decline last year. And now James Paxton is gone. No true ace anymore. I mean, the AL West, that second spot is wide open, as wide open as it might get for a number 2 spot in a division, but they don't think they can compete for the wild card. You still have the Yankees or Red Sox. One of those two teams I would, barring a huge collapse, it's looking like they'll get a wild card next year. And of course, there's a lot that still has to happen. But the way it stands right now, it looks like the Mariners are selling and starting to rebuild, trying to accelerate that process. That is really all the news I have for you guys. Do you have anything else to add, Owen?
I do not, other than have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and baseball will come soon enough. It seems like a long way away, but we've still got a lot of moves to be made in the offseason, and it will be fun to cover it. We'll see what happens with Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, etc., etc., and possibly the Mariners aren't done making moves, so it won't be the last time you hear us talk about the Mariners this offseason.
Yes, one of these shows we're going to get on, we're going to have a lot of news to cover with Bryce Harper and Manny Machado all signing probably within the span of a week. So that will be very exciting. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our insight on that. But until then, like Owen said, have a safe and happy Thanksgiving with your friends and family. We would like to thank you for listening to Extra Innings on National Sports Radio.